Yo, what is going on, guys? So, on today's episode, we are going to be asking ourselves the question, why is it that men don't want to get married to modern women anymore? And I found this video from Alexander Grace, which I think sums it up perfectly, okay? So, we're going to be kicking it off with this woman, who I think is a really, really good example of why men all around are just done with modern women, to be honest with you. So, guys, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Why is it, do you guys think that men are opting out of marriage? I'm going to present one such reason to you here today. So let's jump right into it. And don't say that I didn't warn you, because this woman is questionable. Let's jump in.
I absolutely went into marriage knowing I was going to become a divorcee. There was no question in my mind. I knew at some point we would get divorced. The only question mark was when. I thought, when I'm 40, maybe I'd get that title. Maybe then I'd.
Okay, so we are, 15 seconds into this video, and this woman has already told us why a lot of dudes don't want to get married. This woman opted into a marriage, which again, guys, as much as modern women try and convince you otherwise, it is completely optional these days. You don't have to do this. It's not like she was forced in with an arranged marriage. And she was planning on leaving him from the start. At some point, I'm going to leave him. At some point, I'm going to get bored. At some point, I'm going to find another man and, just leave because I feel like it. Hey, to hell with the marriage vows. At some point, I'm going to leave him. And then these same women are like, wow, why don't men want relationships with me later on? Crazy that. Let's keep going.
I thought, when I'm 40, maybe I'd get that title. Maybe then I'd earn to, 10 years down the track. Because I think 10 years in a marriage, that's a pretty good innings in this day and age. That's like a good run. Turns out it was just the 3. In the end, that's what we kind of reached our limit with. I'm not going to get married again unless it's someone with terrible health, no living other relatives, and a lot of money.
Haven't we been?
Right, so before we cut to Alexander's commentary here, man, let's really diagnose this for a second. This woman thinks that 10 years is a successful marriage. Just by the way, you know what a successful marriage is? It's one that doesn't end when you feel like ending it simply because you feel like it. But these women don't understand this concept, guys. They think, oh, well, I was in a marriage for a few years. That's successful, right? Just because in today's day and age, having a long-term marriage or hell, even a relationship these days is out of the norm, doesn't mean that it qualifies as something that is successful, by the way. But what is her response now? She's saying, I'm not going to get married again unless the dude isn't going to survive a few more years, or he has a lot of money that I can steal, basically. I wonder why men are not getting married anymore. I have no idea. Let's continue into what Alexander replies with here.
Been told that women love commitment, that women are the loyal ones, they just want their happily ever after, that marriage and monogamy is just a dream come true for women. Yeah, we've been lied to. Women are terrible at commitment. That's why 70% of divorces are initiated by women.
Did you guys hear that? 70% of divorces are initiated by women. Again, I'm going to add on to that, which is I think it's actually 70 to 80% from memory. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure it's 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. And then if the woman is how do we say, guys, college educated, as if that counts as education these days, if she's college educated, then that number actually goes as high as 90%. But yeah, tell me more about how men are the ones who struggle with commitment, by the way. I think dudes are way more likely to stick out these relationships and these marriages and things like this because they love you, because they care about their kids, for example, or the family structure and things like this. Guys, I'm telling you, if dudes left relationships and marriages for the same women the same reason, that women did, you would have none of these things. Imagine if dudes were like, you know what, I'm unhappy today, or I've been unhappy for a while. Let me just leave because I'm unhappy. All the relationships would like instantaneously end, I'm telling you. But you know what? The dudes stick it out. They're paying the bills every day. They're working hard. And even though they're not happy, they'll still somehow miraculously find a way to make it work. But women like this, they just can't stick it out, guys. That's because it's not about love with a lot of these girls, unfortunately. Let's keep going.
Got women entering marriage already thinking about divorce because women are privileged. Marriage gives women special rights that men do not have access to, and getting
Absolutely.
divorced activates those rights. If you want to understand why so many women are suddenly leaving their husbands, you need to look at the societal incentive structures that we have in place. I'm going to allow a divorce lawyer to explain.
Key problem I have with marriage as it is done currently here in the West and in other places, but certainly the clay in which I work, is that there are certain promises the law can enforce, and there are certain promises it can't. So if we acknowledge, if we say the quiet part out loud, that in the majority of heterosexual marriages, the man brings protection and providing, and the woman brings kindness, warmth, and care, right? And sex. That's the economy. That's the economy. I didn't make that up. Don't get fucking mad at me in the comments. I didn't make it up. It was here before me. It's going to be here after me. I promise, right? So
let's just stop it there for a second. I don't think that this bargain, as it were, is being upheld by modern women whatsoever. I mean, it is a rarity, guys, for me to see a modern Western woman who even approaches some sort of like, you know, qualities of actually being warm and caring and polite. And you know what? I'll tell you this, a lot of them who can put it on publicly are not necessarily like this behind closed doors, especially in things like marriages, guys. I know some women throughout the years, for example, who are complete and utter psychos, completely psycho, who like, the types of women who will slash your tires and all of this sort of things, who will yell at you behind closed doors. And you wouldn't know from a one-off interaction, by the way. But again, I don't think women are really upholding their end of the bargain in these heterosexual relationships, by the way.
So that's the game. That's the economy. His roles, his obligations are enforceable by law. So state power can be used to enforce his obligations, not hers.
Yep. You know, guys, for example, your woman leaves you, all of a sudden you're still liable to pay her bills. Why? Because apparently it's the lifestyle that she's become accustomed to, guys. You need to open up your wallet and continue paying that woman. You know, there are situations where women have cheated on their husbands and they divorce him, and then he's still out there paying alimony, paying child support and things like this. Again, you reverse the roles here and you say, hey, wait a minute. Maybe the women should be repaying the dudes. You know, they have a lifestyle that they've become accustomed to. Then all of a sudden you sound like an idiot. It's almost like it's stupid both ways, and that people shouldn't be given access to things outside of the relationship. For example, why should anyone benefit, right? Why should an ex-husband benefit from the cooking of his ex-wife? It makes no sense. In the same way, she shouldn't benefit from his finances. If you are out of that relationship, you should get nothing from the other person. But we have dudes here who are quite literally being thrown in jail because they can't make repayments to women that they are no longer with. I wonder why men are not getting married. Yet another reason to the list, by the way.
Court cannot order her to be nice to him, or to fuck him, or to stay pretty, or to stay sweet and friendly to him and kind to him, or speak nicely of him, or raise the children in a meaningful way that, you know, creates value to him instead of teaching them to disrespect him, right? But his promises in that, shelter, food, financial obligations, court can force you to do that. And if you don't do it, they can put you in jail, or they can take away your driver's license, your professional licenses. So what is that? When you have a contract where only one side is enforceable by law under penalty of law, like that is a dangerous game to play if you're a...
Yeah, you know what I would call it? I would just call it a scam, to be honest with you. That's what I would call it, a straight up scam. One that dudes are told is part of normal everyday life. Hey guys, don't worry. Go out there, get a 9-to-5, work really hard, get your degree, study hard. Become that provider for a woman, be nice, be caring, and then all of a sudden, go out there, get married, and oops, one day you've lost everything because she felt like leaving, and now you're completely screwed. And by the way, if you can't make those repayments after this, by the way, we'll just throw you in jail, right? Or we'll severely penalize you for it. Never mind the fact that she's out there screwing some other dude as we speak. You still have to be a real man and take care of this woman. I am so sick, dude, of hearing the amount of things that men have to do for women who quite honestly do not deserve it. It is crazy to me. And I would say the same thing in return for women and things like this. You have women out here who are quite literally, for example, giving their bodies to dudes who don't give a damn about them, and yet society is totally fine with that one, by the way. It's so damn backwards, guys, the way that things are operating right now and what things are encouraged. Women are out here encouraged to completely disrespect themselves like it's normal and it's empowering, and dudes are encouraged these days to go out here and also disrespect themselves and do things for women who quite honestly don't deserve it. It is completely crazy. I agree with this guy here. I really do. I think it's dangerous. I think it's a scam. This is why it's not something that I advocate for on this channel. And again, I'll say this. I'm not against marriage. I'm not against traditionalism. I think, honestly, these are great things. But in their current forms, they represent nothing but risk to men, unfortunately.
Man, period.
Straight up, this is one of the reasons why so many men do not want to get married anymore. It's too vulnerable. What is to stop a woman from completely reneging on her promises to her husband? He's completely powerless. And it is especially painful because what men want out of a marriage is actually very sweet and wholesome. Look at this graph. You see that the top factors that men are looking for when choosing a wife have barely changed in 70 years.
And you know what? Not only have they barely changed, by the way, they're not even that damn hard to achieve. That's the crazy part, is like you see the lists from Modern Women guys and it's like, yeah, he has to make all this money, he has to be this tall and things like this. And now some women won't necessarily straight up say this, especially if they're on camera, because they want to appear, not shallow and things like this. But the requirements that women have for men in actuality are typically quite high, especially if you're not a conventionally very attractive guy. I mean, you'll have to do all of this extra nonsense. She'll have all of these different requirements for you. Now, change that to the requirements that men have from women, and it's really not that hard, guys. It is really not. Let's take a look at some of these. Dependable character, not that hard. Just don't be a liar, for example, right? Really not that hard. Be someone who's dependable. Be someone who's emotionally stable. Also not that damn difficult, but apparently it is. You have to be someone who's, neat. You have good social ability, right? Similar religious background. Again, also, by the way, a lot of guys actually wouldn't even have like a list that's even long as this. Check this out. Look how high this gray one is here, by the way. Pleasing disposition. Do you know how easy that is, and yet how rare it is for modern women to have that quality? It's absolutely absurd. Pleasing disposition, mutual attraction. Oh, crazy that. But you have all these women who are like going out on dates, for example, with dudes, and they have no attraction to the men at all. They'll use him for free dinner. They'll use him for free validation, free likes on their Instagram profile and things like this, a free follow. But of course, they don't have mutual attraction for this guy. Let's go down here. Desire for home and children, also very rare. A lot of modern Western women, particularly in metropolitan areas, guys, they don't like kids. They don't want kids. They think that they're creepy. Chastity, that's a rare one. That's a very rare one. Is it difficult? No. Is it rare? Yes. I mean, again, dudes don't even have a list that's this long typically. And usually it's not that damn hard to achieve most things on said list. But of course, modern women make it look very damn difficult, don't they? Let's continue.
He wants her to be dependable, loving, emotionally stable, intelligent, have a pleasing disposition. These are all different ways to say the same thing. He wants companionship with a sweet, loving woman who is kind to him, who makes his life pleasant.
Wow, what a crazy thing that men are requiring, by the way. How crazy is that? You want a pleasant woman who's who actually likes you, right? And I would actually argue that's quite a rare thing nowadays, especially for average men, guys. I mean, we know that the average woman does not want the average man. She doesn't respect him. She doesn't like him. She thinks that she's better than him. Point in case, the type of men that women actually go out here and select. Of course, they always choose the bad boys. They always choose the guys who are complete a-holes. And you're encouraged to be nice the whole damn time, of course. But let's continue.
Exchange, if he receives all of that, of course, he is happy to financially provide. But women are always in control because she can treat him like shit. And after he signs that marriage contract, he's trapped. He can't get out of it without halving his finances and risking access to his children. Women have the power and they know it.
So there's a few things that I don't do as a married woman.
Oh, no.
Number one, I do not cook for my husband. I only cook for my children. My husband will be making his own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Number two, I do not help him pay any bills. So if he is short on the rent, on utilities, or anything like that, it is not my problem. I will not be helping him out.
Isn't this the woman? I think we might have covered this woman a little while ago. I don't quite remember. All of these women kind of blur together. But I'm pretty sure this woman, she made these videos, right? And then like her husband got rid of her for obvious reasons, might I add. So the husband ends up getting rid of her and then she became homeless. And then she tried to claim that these videos were just a joke. I don't really care if these videos are a joke, by the way. The fact of the matter is she's still making them. I don't consider them comedy skits. I'm sure most dudes, probably her husband at the very least, didn't consider them to be comedy skits. I mean, obviously not if he threw her out. But women like to do this nonsense where they do all of these disrespectful things like making these TikTok videos or treating men in a certain way. And then they like to act like shocked and surprised, and they like to claim it was a joke and call the guy sensitive or whatever when the dude just boots her out of the picture. I think it's totally justified, by the way. This woman is horrendous. I don't care if this is a joke or not. Like, get the hell out.
Number 3, I do not do his laundry.
Does this sound like a wife, like a supportive partner? Absolutely
no.
not. But let me ask you this question. What exactly is the man meant to do in response if this is the treatment that he receives? He says,
Leave.
We're married. Please be nice to me. Have sex with me. Support me. Help me out. He can beg for those things, but bottom line, he has no power. His options are to put up with it and stay miserable inside the marriage, or get a divorce and risk access to his children and lose a bunch of his money. This is so unequal. It is so unfair. How have women gotten away with this?
Yeah, see, the government supports this type of nonsense, by the way. Again, this is why I don't advocate for dudes to get married. It leaves you with very little, if no options. You know, again, like the best course of action is obviously to leave, but in leaving, you get completely screwed over for doing it. I think a lot of dudes, they really take this lightly, like, oh yeah, you know, it's marriage, right? It's a big deal because I love her so much. I'm just going to go out there and get married. But what they don't see is how they can potentially be screwed over later on with no recourse, by the way. You know, people will say, oh, don't worry, man, just get a prenup. But let's be honest, prenups are thrown out a lot of the times, guys. So like, you know, if you're relying on not being screwed over by something that could be thrown out of court fairly easily, then I don't think it's a really good idea, to be honest with you.
The answer is by lying. We have been lied to in this culture. You, since the day you were born, have been lied to. Now, I know that you've been told all of your life how privileged you are as a man and how terrible the treatment of women is in our society. But tell me, in marriage, where exactly is the man's privilege? Because I can't find it. It's the money, feminists claim. He controls the finances. Therefore, he has all of the power. But as Warren Farrell spoke about in his book, The Myth of Male Power, the fact that the man is making the money is not what is important. What is he spending it on? If he busts his ass 6 days a week in some manual labor job that is breaking his spirit, and he uses that money to provide for his wife, to provide for his children, does it make him powerful or does it place him under their power? Honestly, the sexism that this culture has towards men is so disgusting and sick. Imagine.
Yeah, so just by the way, dudes go out there, they work hard to protect and provide for their wives, and then what, guys? We are called evil and controlling and oppressive because apparently we control the finances. Just by the way, like Alexander says here, a lot of the dudes are either spending the money on their wives or girlfriends or whatever in the first place. That's number one. Number two, a lot of the times, for whatever reason, idiots, guys, I've got to roast dudes for this. There are a lot of simps out there, for example, who let women control their finances. If you are someone who does this, I would suggest that you stop it immediately. I don't know why dudes do this, man. They like let their wife or their girlfriend control or manage the finances, especially for the money they've earned. What the hell are you doing? It's always been completely psycho to me that dudes would allow that to happen. So that's number two. A lot of guys are letting that happen. And then number three, let's just say, okay, well, the dude does control the money. So what? Usually he's the one earning it. Like, you know, if I go out there and I earn money, you can be damn well sure that I'm going to be the one that controls it. Why the hell am I giving it to somebody else? It makes absolutely no sense. And apparently that's oppressive, even if you were to spend it on your girlfriend or your wife or look after her or whatever the case may be. Apparently that still makes you an evil person. So it's kind of like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And this is why I'd suggest dudes just don't. You know, why would you engage with women like this? Why are you putting yourself in such a risky position? It's absolutely insane to me. It doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what course of action you take, you are still going to be labeled, you know, a terrible person, a toxic person, an oppressive person, and so on. It's like, man, at the end of the day, dudes will just stop caring, they'll go their own way, and they won't marry you. Very simple.
Imagine that, the noblest of all male endeavors, to sacrifice our own comfort to take miserable jobs so that we can make the lives of the women and children easier, that very sacrifice is used against men and portrays them as dictators, lording their power over the vulnerable. Men have been complicit in this false narrative for too long. Men have swallowed all of this shame and criticism leveled against us, endured this endless humiliation, all the while carrying the burden of the family and society on our shoulders.
Yeah, how dare you guys? How dare you go out there, you work hard, you progress society, you take care of people. How dare you do that? I've seen so many videos, by the way, of, let me just change the frame. This is a bit unfortunate for Alexander. There we go. I've seen so many videos recently where girls will come out here and they'll say, you know, we can do anything a man does. We don't need no man. And it's like, did you forget that all of the infrastructure that is provided to you in society is essentially made, designed, and maintained by men? You know, why don't we just remove all of the infrastructure that you use that was either maintained, or designed by men, and it would all be gone, guys. You know, no more internet, no more Wi-Fi for the women, guys. No more housing, to be honest with you. No more air conditioning, no more roads, no more schools, no more hospitals. I mean, you can just throw the whole lot out because, again, with no men, none of this happens. But it's crazy, guys, how, like, in today's society, if you're someone who's productive, for example, or you want to work and provide for somebody, it's like, not on the one hand, you're told to do it because you have to, because you're a man, right? You have to provide for a woman. And then on the other hand, whenever she wants to leave, then it's used against you as if you were oppressive, right? Or you have to go out there and you have to work hard because she's not going to marry you unless you make 100K a year. And then you go out there, you become a successful businessman, maybe you make something, or you've got a company or something like this, and you're providing value to society. And then society just thinks you're oppressive anyway. It's like, damned if you do, guys, damned if you don't.
All the while carrying the burden of the family and society on our shoulders. How long can you be expected to do that while at the same time enduring accusations that you are part of the toxic patriarchy? My fear is that men have been silent for so long that many women have honestly forgotten that men are humans, that they have emotions, hopes, and desires of their own. That for some women, when they look at men, they see his proper role as being a slave out in the fields, working for her comfort, and she's completely justified in shaming him if he ever complains. There was this TikTok video where a man was coughing, and the wife accused him of having man flu, a disgusting sexist phrase used to diminish male suffering, designed to shame them into ignoring their needs and going back to providing for everybody else. And in this video of this wife exposing her husband's man flu, you should see the comments. They are very revealing of how women truly feel about a man's role.
Just before we jump into this particular video, guys, I remember the first time I heard the word man flu, and it was back when I was in school. I was like really young. And one of the teachers was describing how like her husband had man flu or something. And I asked what it was, and obviously they couldn't describe it. And she was just like, you know, it's just when a man is sick and he dramatizes it and everything. And I was like, I remember being a kid and I was like, but you know, is he really sick? And the women, they just couldn't answer the questions, guys. Me as a kid, I was like, I was so confused when I heard this term for the first time, and it made no sense to me. Obviously, in retrospect, it's just a very sexist term that is used against men, because obviously men do get sick. But apparently we dramatize it, guys, and we're not actually sick when we get sick, you know? I just remember the first time I heard that term, I thought it was the craziest, most nonsense thing ever. And apparently nobody else had an issue with it. The teachers didn't see an issue with it. Again, guys, this was coming from a teacher at school, by the way, talking about her husband. It goes to say a lot for the education system, doesn't it, guys? But let's continue with the video here. So let's take a look at some of these comments. I get irritated immediately. And of course, this individual can't spell immediately correctly. And it has, what is this? 106,000 likes on this comment, by the way. Yeah, guys, you know, these TikTok videos, all of these sexist women and horrible women, You know, Taylor, there's not a lot of those videos. You cherry pick them. This comment has this is a comment on one video, by the way, has 106,000 likes on it. That is crazy.
Get irritated immediately. Oh my God, put him outside. That would be my final straw, because what is that? Go and get his mummy. I remember being a teen and my dad getting tonsillitis. He fell to the ground like this. I got the biggest ick for my mum and told her to divorce him. Can you believe that women manage to convince everybody that they are the compassionate gender? That women are the ones who are kind and supportive? Look at the raw contempt they have for a man who stops providing for a second. So what is the solution? For some men, it's to never get married, and I can understand that. It is safer to stay single than to get married to a low-quality woman.
I mean, I don't even care about the quality of the woman. Here's the problem with the modern day system, guys. Here's the problem. It doesn't matter if the quality of the woman is fantastic. She can be awesome, right? She can cook, she can clean, she can be super pleasant to be around, you know, she can be all of the things that you're looking for, being with no other guys, all of this sort of thing. But the problem is, marriage is still a huge risk for men. You know what I'm saying? Because the problem is, not every woman is going to divorce you and take your crap or treat you in such a way. It's just that they can. You know, a woman can decide to leave you in Western countries simply because she feels like it on any given, I don't know, like a Wednesday. She can just go, you know, I don't like him so much today. I'm not really feeling it. I want a divorce. She can come to you and she can say that she wants a divorce, and she can completely screw you over. Again, not every woman is going to do this, but I don't really care. It doesn't matter the quality of the woman. Is that people really don't seem to understand this. They're like, you know, just find a good woman. It'll be okay. Just get a prenup. It'll be okay. And I'm sorry, guys, but that's not enough. This is such a huge risk for men to take that you can't just say, well, just play it safe, man. Just get a nice woman. Just get one that's fine. But the thing is, even the women who are absolutely fantastic out there, you know, the ones who are kind to be around, I mean, you go find like some woman from a different country, for example, you bring her back to the West, you try and go through these divorce laws, and you can still be screwed over just the same as the rest of the men. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one.